astonishing tour to see the power concentrated into this massive battleship. But perhaps more importantly, I was accompanying my wife. She asked me to come with her to a conference based on non-profit organizations in storytelling. A whole conference based around storytelling. Again, it reminded me, ladies and gentlemen, of the kinds of things we're trying to present to you today as you build and figure out how to navigate through university. Much of it has to do with the story you tell yourself. The stories we tell ourselves determine, to a large extent, how we succeed or if we fail. This is why it's very important, I think, for you to pay attention to what Dr. Anderson is going to present today. Because while we've spent a good deal of time in this semester talking about academic intelligence, or what you need to succeed academically, a huge portion of that is going to be emotional intelligence. And I hope, particularly gentlemen, that you don't write this off and say, it's not for me. It's especially important for you. It's important for all of us. So I'm delighted that Dr. Anderson is going to present today. If you haven't had the opportunity to take a class from Dr. Anderson, I urge you to do so. It'll be well worth your time and effort. A couple of reminders. I see people have computers open. Please close your computers. Please make sure, including myself, to turn your cell phones off. Leave cell phones away, computers away, pay attention, and I guarantee that if you pay attention and you listen to what's being presented and you apply it to the story of your life, it'll be well worthwhile. Dr. Anderson.
Thank you. I realized that I just wanted to make sure that I got something up. I have a little video to show you, and I realized I haven't loaded it. But hopefully we will get there, and it will work. Okay, so yeah, I'm a psychologist, and I teach in the psychology department, and I also work with clients and adults in a therapy practice. And that is a wonderful career that has served me really well. But it's really great to be here with you today. Although I have to say I feel very sorry for you having to take this class at 4:15 in the afternoon. So my apologies, but here we are. We're going to try and stay awake, and we'll try and move things along. I know you came to university thinking it was that your IQ and the grades that you get that was going to determine your success. But in actual fact, your emotional intelligence might be equal, if not more important, to your success than the IQ that you have here today. You are all smart enough that you made it to university. And so you already have some kind of capacity. And of course you want to nurture that IQ, you want to pay attention today, and all of that stuff. You want to focus on good grades, but your emotional intelligence is going to be super important. So I have a question for you. How are you feeling right now? And what would be the emotion that you're feeling right now? Any of you feeling a little stressed and anxious with the end of the term? A little overwhelmed with being a new student in university? Or maybe something really good happened today? Or maybe something really bad happened today? What are you feeling right now? So I put some words on the board for you to just think about, and there's many, many more feeling words. But is anybody willing to shout out a feeling that they could be feeling? I'm going to put it that way just so that you don't have to feel embarrassed with whatever emotion. An emotion that you could be feeling right now in this moment. Anybody willing to shout one out? Somebody, did I hear somebody say something? What's an emotion?
Frustration.
Frustration. Ah, that's a good one. Okay, what about another one? Tired. That's not exactly emotion, but it's kind of an emotion. Yes. What's another one?
Concerned.
Concerned? Yeah, okay, that's a little bit like worry. What's another one?
Joy.
Joy. Oh, that's a good positive one. Anybody else with some other positive ones? We often think of emotions when we're naming them to often be negative, but what are some other positive ones that you could be feeling right now?
Love.
Peace.
Hope.
Love.
Love. Hope. Okay, awesome. Any other negative ones that you can think? Anybody feeling like really angry or irritated with somebody right now? Like is your roommate got on your nerves? Or your parents are incessantly calling you or on your back about something? You might be feeling any number of these emotions at the present time. Now, I want to ask you, how strongly are you feeling that emotion? So is it, you can barely feel it. If you didn't feel it at all, it would be a 0. But 1, you can just barely feel that emotion. And 10, you're really high on that emotion. You can feel it super strong, the highest you can imagine. Do we have any 10s here? Does anybody feel like they're a 10? Okay, we got one 10. How about a 9? I think it's something else. At 9, anybody at a 9? Really strong emotion? How about 8? Okay, we got an 8. A couple of 8s. 7? 6. Are you guys not feeling anything at all?
Yeah.
How about 5? After when we get 3, 4, 5, 6, how many are you kind of in that ballpark? Okay, so you've got an emotion. Now I actually want you in your head to think about what you're actually feeling right now and what number that actually is for right now. And then I want you to ask yourself, do you know why you're feeling that? If you're feeling peaceful, do you know why? Did something go right? Something good happen? You're feeling joyful or excited, or you're feeling really stressed? Do you know why you're feeling stressed? If you're just feeling a little agitated, irritated, frustrated, do you know why you're feeling it? Okay, now I want everybody to raise their hand. How many people know why they're feeling it? One or the other, because I'm going to ask. So some of you do know why. How many of you are like, I don't know, I'm just feeling it? Okay, and then some of you didn't vote. Let's try that again. How many people know why they're feeling it? Okay, most of you do. And how many people like, no, I don't do? You'd be surprised how often we can feel things and you don't know it. Like, haven't you ever got up on the wrong side of the bed in the morning and just felt really irritated at the world and everything in life, and you're like, I don't even know what happened here?
Yeah.
Okay, so sometimes we can have emotions, or maybe you know that you're feeling something and you have no clue why you're feeling it. So you can name that it's irritated, you don't know why it's happened, but you may not even know the feeling. So you may not know why you're feeling it, or you may not know the feeling. How are you going to respond to that feeling? Because almost everything in life, I ask my students this often, can you think of a decision in your life that does not have emotion at its core? Emotion guides so many of our decisions and our relationships, who you like, who you hang out with, what clothes you put on today, what food you ate today. All different kinds of things have to do with emotional flavors. So how are you going to respond to that feeling? If your feeling was irritated and frustrated, what are you going to do with that? If you're feeling really tired, what are you going to do with that? Are you going to go to bed earlier tonight? Are you going to drink some water to wake yourselves up? If you have water bottles, this time of day is a really great time of day to drink water. When I am with my clients in the afternoon, I have a water bottle with me all the time, and when I start to feel a little, water is my friend. What are you going to do about it if you're feeling tired? Are you going to make sure that you get a good, nourishing meal today? If you're irritated with somebody, are you going to talk to them about it, or are you just going to let it hang in the air, or are you going to say, it's not worth it, I'm going to let it go?
Let's talk.
How is the person beside you feeling? That sounds like that's way more interesting. Okay, no reflection on the person beside you, but what do you think some possible answers to the person beside you and what they might be feeling?
You feel calm.
Could you guess at what they might be feeling? Okay, that's just a good excuse to engage. That's great. If I were to guess how you were feeling, I would guess that you guys are feeling tired and stressed and perhaps a little bit excited, maybe a little bit homesick. I'm trying to just think of all the feelings that you might have, right? And if you were to guess how strongly the person beside you was feeling it, would it be barely detectable, they're comatose, barely alive, they're hardly feeling anything at all? Or would they be feeling this emotion super strongly? The most you can imagine. And here's the question. How are you going to respond to the person beside you? And you guys all erupted in conversation, so I don't know what all you were talking about, but maybe you have a better clue now how the person beside you is feeling. Are you going to respond to that in any way? Are you going to share a laugh? Are you going to ask them about it after class? Is it going to be a point of conversation? Are you going to leave here and let it go? Does it matter? Maybe they didn't want to share with you. Who knows? What are you going to do about it? And why or why not? It might be a good idea to let it go, or it might be a good idea to follow up, just depending on what that person beside you is feeling. So knowing your emotions, knowing other people's emotions, and knowing how to handle them will determine the nature of your relationships. And you're all here in university because you hope to be successful in some area of your life, and the degree of your success. What's your favorite treat? We just had Halloween a little bit ago. Anybody willing to share what your favorite treat is? Snickers? Okay, I think I heard Snickers. Anybody else? Ice cream. Ice cream. I'm with you on the ice cream. One more. What's somebody else's favorite treat?
Kit Kat.
Coffee crisp. Oh, I love coffee crisp. Okay. So on the way here, I stopped by the gas station. I got Skittles.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Take the rainbow.
Okay. Okay, just to try to be a little bit healthy, chocolate covered raisins.
Okay. Yeah. I like it.
And last of all, Kit Kat. Now this one's chunky. I've never had a chunky one before. Okay, so here we're going to just lay these out here, right here. You can imagine that one of those was your favorite treat. Do you know why these are your favorite treats? I mean, don't tell me that they just taste nice and they're sugary. Do you have like fond memories of these treats? Like many happy Halloweens, or, you know, in our household, when it was sundown on Sabbath and we were at the end of our week, we would let our kids have a treat that they could pick out. They might have really fond memories. Maybe you shared it with a friend. I don't know, but you probably enjoy one of these because you've had some experiences with those treats that have some fond memories. Now, this dog, he's having a really hard time not eating that hamburger. What would you do if we had these, you know, sitting right in front of you, and it was your favorite treat? What would you do to keep yourself from eating it?
Oh, keep.
Yeah, no, we don't want you to eat it. These are terrible and unhealthy for you. They're going to make you gain weight. They're going to give you diabetes. Terrible, terrible, terrible. What are we going to do to keep you from eating these terrible treats that are so yummy?
Oliver, what are we going to do?
What are you going to do?
We're going to get rid of all of them. We're just going to throw them out.
Could you withhold? Or would you give in and not be able to refrain from eating it?
No, can you abstain?
You know, the best way to keep yourself from eating it is to just hide it and not see it, right? Because the more you see it, the more you're going to want to eat it. Okay, you know, researchers, just because they get really bored, they have to do all these studies, right? And so they did a study on this. And of course, they did this, and they called this the marshmallow study. Have you heard of the marshmallow study?
Oh, I love the marshmallow study.
Yeah. So they put a marshmallow in front of small children. Now, a marshmallow wouldn't tempt me all that much. These might tempt me a little bit more. But these marshmallows were in front of small children. And this was done at Stanford University. And by a guy by the name of Walter Mischel, and there was another guy that his name is just going to come up here in a minute. And they were looking at children's ability to delay their gratification. And so they set this study up, and they tell the kids, you can have the marshmallow, but if you wait, when we come back, just in 15 minutes, we'll give you another marshmallow, or you can have a pretzel. Your choice.
Give me the best.
So, is that kid going to take the marshmallow now? Or are they going to wait and get 2 marshmallows? Or maybe a marshmallow and a pretzel?
You're gonna get it now.
15 minutes is a long time. I believe they were 4 years old.
Do the others eat the marshmallow?
Now, just because I'm a psychologist, I had to do this experiment with my kids when they were 4.
Oh, wow.
Or 3 or 2 or whatever the age was. I was like, could my kids delay gratification for that long? If I remember correctly, they passed. Then they noticed what the kids did to manage that temptation that they had right in front of them. Some of them covered their eyes, not going to see that, not going to see that. Some of them rested their heads on their arms. Some of them tried to look at other things. Some of them tried to talk to themselves. They sang. They invented little games with their hands and their feet. And one even fell asleep.
Wow.
And then, of course, they do what researchers do, and they followed up and looked to see what was up with these kids. And they found that they had, many years later, higher SAT scores, so that's a score that you take on a test before you go to university. They had higher educational attainment. They had a better body mass index, and they had a whole bunch of other life measures that they did better, just because they delayed gratification. Now, studies and research, as you're going to learn in university, always deserve to be replicated. Can you replicate that study? Are you actually measuring what you think you're measuring? So they did another study with, with many more children in the study, and they found that the effect size was half. And of course, as they looked at this, they realized that there were other factors other than just self-regulation, like socioeconomic status and so on. And of course, they, more recently, 2018 and 2024, so that was Marshmallow study was back in 1970, they're still trying to study this stuff. And they thought that, maybe that doesn't entirely predict your future. So if you're 4 years old, and you couldn't resist, and you actually ate the marshmallow, it may not be the end of the world. There's other factors that might be more important. However, it's still a really interesting and very classic study. And it has a lot to do with your ability, and that was the point of the study. Can you self-regulate? Can you manage your emotions? can you hold back your desires? So what is emotional intelligence really? So it is the capacity to be aware. So that's why I was asking you, how are you feeling? How strong are you feeling it? Why are you feeling it? Control, what are you going to do to manage that feeling? And express your emotion. Are you going to tell anybody about that? Are you going to keep it to yourself? And to handle interpersonal relationships judiciously and empathetically. Empathy is not sympathy. Empathy is the ability to feel and know what somebody else is feeling. You may not be feeling it yourself, but you can be empathic. You can know what they are feeling. And it is the key to both personal and professional success. Okay, I want to see if I've got this up here, and it will work. Technology often fails, but let's see what we've got. Maybe it didn't load, so give me 2 seconds to see if I can get it up and running.
Then in terms of predicting who is going to be in the top 10% of places, you say that emotional intelligence is more as a sort of better gauge than IQ. So can you just tell me why that is the case?
It's very simple. Study after study shows that in order to be in a top profession, in order to be an engineer, in order to get an MBA, in order to get an MD, or be a top executive, you need to have an IQ that's about 1 standard deviation above normal or higher. That puts you at about 115 IQ. But then the studies show, after that, there is no correlation between your IQ and your actual effectiveness or success in that line of work. Whether you're a CEO, academic, an engineer, doesn't matter. Why? Because that is the IQ level you need to master the technical skills and it's the cognitive capacity you need to handle that profession. But after that, think about it. Once you're in the field, you're competing with people who are about as smart as you are. There's really no... Throughout school, IQ is a huge advantage for grades. In the workplace, after you reach that criterion level, it has very little added benefit. And what makes the difference are your personal abilities. How you manage yourself. Do you stay motivated? Do you stay focused? Are you adaptable? Are you self-aware? And your interpersonal abilities. Can you read other people? Do you know how to get along well? Are you a good team player? Can you be a leader? And those all depend on emotional intelligence.
Daniel, I've got no doubt that people that are watching this are sold on your premise of emotional intelligence. But the big question I think people will be wanting to ask is, once you know your EI level, can you improve or can you become more emotionally intelligent?
Yeah, the good news is that you can improve emotional intelligence competencies. These are learned abilities that build from the fundamentals. So, for example, emotional self-control, staying calm under pressure. This is a capacity that can be learned. The steps are quite well known. But you need to, first of all, want to get better. Listening well, listening deeply. That's a critical empathy skill. And if you have poor listening habits, it's like the common cold of leadership, then you can't improve. But again, you need to be motivated. Why? Because in adulthood, you have to undo, at the brain level, over-rehearsed habits. That's your habitual way of reacting. And build a new one until it becomes more strongly practiced than the old one. Then you'll do it naturally. And that takes real effort and real motivation.
Daniel, talk about self-motivation. What's the core essence of being self-driven and motivated to move forward as an individual?
I think that motivation has to be true, that you need to align the desire to improve with with your own sense of values and purpose, what you really feel is important. What are your dreams? Where do you want to go in life? Is something holding you back? Can you change that for the better? That's the kind of genuine motivation that helps people really make the change.
Okay, so that was Daniel Goleman, and he was a researcher and an author about the time that I was in your position. And I read his book on emotional intelligence, and a light came on. That was kind of a new concept back in the day. But today, there's been lots of research to absolutely verify what he said, that once you reach a certain level of intelligence within your field, which is where you will be when you graduate from Furman University, who you are as a person and the emotional skills that you carry, just the things that he was outlining, are going to determine how successful you are in your career. So if we were to break down emotional intelligence into 4 areas, different people would divide it slightly different. Different researchers focus on different things, but for today's purpose, I'm going to focus on these 4 areas. One is self-awareness. How aware are you of yourself, your emotions, your thoughts, your feelings? How do you come across to other people, and so on? How much can you manage and self-regulate those things that are going on inside of you? How aware are you of things outside of you, other people? How are they feeling? How are they doing? Are you picking up on their social cues? We've probably noticed this when you've been around somebody who doesn't have a lot of social awareness, and they talk too much, or they don't give you a chance to talk, or they have annoying habits and they seem to be unaware of them. That can be super annoying. And then, of course, if you have all of these, that's going to really help you build relationships and manage those relationships to be successful in your future. So we're just going to walk through these a little bit. So in order to be self-aware, you have to be able to recognize and understand your emotions, which is why I just had you try to point out an emotion. Emotions can be complex, slippery, and changeable. Often when I'm working with clients, they'll tell me that they feel angry, and then as soon as we identify that, then they start to feel sad, and then they feel frustrated, and they move between emotions. You need to be aware of the effect of your actions and your moods and your emotions on others, and how that comes across to other people. You have to know yourself and your strengths. Of course, that's what you're doing here in university. You're trying out some different classes, figuring out who you are, and trying to figure out your career path. And in that process, every class you take, every person you interact with, you start to learn from your experiences and interactions. And self-awareness has something to do with being aware of how others perceive you. So how can you improve your self-awareness? You can simply ask for feedback. You can ask for other people to give you some feedback on that. That's sometimes hard to take, and you have to be a strong person to actually hear that. You might want to keep a journal. Sometimes if you really don't know what you're thinking and feeling, you can just do a lot of journaling. You can take time to pay attention to your thoughts and feelings, and in that process, reflect on them. You could set some goals. We're almost to January, and you're going to get a fresh start with another term. You could set yourself some goals. What went wrong this time? Reflect. What went wrong this term, and what would I like to improve? You can build a mindset for growth. Nobody arrives knowing how to do something perfectly. So you have a mindset that says, yes, I can grow. Be curious. Be mindful. Learn new skills. Work within your passions and interests. All of those things are going to help you build self-awareness, because like Daniel Goleman said, you can actually do something about your emotional intelligence. You can't do much about your IQ, what you were born with. You can massage that a little bit. You can learn, but you can't do much about your IQ. So I want you to just think about an emotion, your favorite emotion. I sometimes ask people, what's your favorite emotion? If I were to think about one of my favorite emotions, the emotion that I fall into the most, it would be sadness. When I was a teenager, my mom got very sick and we thought she was going to die. And I was a young person at that time, and it made me feel very sad. She had a fight with cancer for many years after that. So it's easy for me to fall into the pit of sadness. So what is your favorite emotion? What is the emotion that trips you up lots? It could even be that you're happy all the time and you don't pay attention when you should pay attention to negative emotions. It could be that you're angry and you're easily triggered. Write that emotion down in your notes. What is your favorite emotion? Could be positive or negative. And I want you to think about the kinds of situations that trigger it. For me, sad movies get me, so I don't like watching sad movies. Gotta have something that's happy. Because how do you usually, and how do you react in that situation where you have that favorite emotion? Maybe you find yourself getting overwhelmed all the time, and then when you get overwhelmed, what you do, how you usually react to that is you shut down, you avoid, you procrastinate. That's a good one for students, right? You're probably, lots of you, feeling overwhelmed, and it might be easy to just shut down and avoid. What would be a better response to that emotion that you would like to try out? So think about that. You've got a favorite emotion that trips you up. What would you like to do differently? Think about that and write that down. What we're doing here is creating self-awareness, and you're setting goals for yourself. And if you were to do that kind of journal exercise, my guess is that you can start to really improve how many times you blow up, how many times you shut down, how many times you procrastinate. If you kept noticing what feeling that is, what situations trigger it, but that's not enough. Always be thinking about what would you like to do instead, so that the next time that thing comes up, you're ready and prepared. Okay, so if we know and we have self-awareness, the next thing we have, we gotta regulate that emotion. You can't just be aware of it. You actually have to know what to do with that emotion. And it doesn't mean that you have to take your negative emotions or your positive emotions and put them on lockdown and never express them. But you have to find the right time and place. Right? When and how and what are you going to do with that emotion? It has to be the right time, the right place, the right person, so you can express them appropriately. And if you have those skills, you're going to be more likely to be flexible, able to adapt to change, because an emotion's going to come along, and it might be strong, but you're going to think now's not the right time or place to express that, and you're going to be able to save that for a different day or time. If you happen to be somebody who's high in self-regulation skills, you're likely to be high in conscientiousness. And conscientiousness is associated also with lots of success. Conscientiousness is actually a personality trait. And if you happen to have it, it's associated with lots of success in life. So people who have good self-regulation, they're thoughtful about their experiences and their responsibility, and they take responsibility for their own actions. So let's think about that. In order to self-regulate, you have to know your emotion, manage the emotion, wait for the right time or place, and express it appropriately. So this means you're going to be able to be flexible, adapt to change, manage conflict, diffuse tense situations. Have you ever been in a really tense situation and somebody cracks that well-timed joke and it just cuts the energy and everybody's able to move on? That is great self-regulation and great social skills. Develop conscientiousness. Even if you don't have that personality trait, you can make that a goal of yours. Take responsibility for your actions and be aware of how you influence other people. So the ability to regulate, huge, 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 just like our marshmallow study. In fact, psychology has a whole course on self-regulation because it's so important. If you can learn to do it, you will have life by the tail. Think about, you can manage your money, you can manage your food, you can manage your emotions, you can manage your time. If you can get self-regulation down, whew, You've got it. So, how to improve self-regulation? Accept your emotion. Avoid overusing extrinsic rewards. What do we mean by that? When you finish something you do well, don't you feel good inside? But if every time you feel good inside you go, oh, I deserve a chocolate bar, you kind of diminish that sense of feeling good inside. So when you do something well, give yourself that internal reward, that emotional intelligence reward. You go, good job, I did that. Celebrate your results. It's easy to be perfectionistic, and if you make a mistake, you're really hard on yourself, but if you're successful, that was just luck. You know, next time it'll be worth it. No. Celebrate your results. Focus on small, measurable goals. In fact, if you are overwhelmed as a student and you find yourself shutting down, one of the most important things you can do is break the task down into smaller pieces until the piece is small enough that you say, I think I can do that. So you've got a paper and you're staring at your computer screen and you go, oh, I don't even know where to start. The paper seems huge. Go, well, I'm going to start by writing a sentence. And it doesn't even have to be a good sentence. I'm just going to get a sentence. Break it down into small, measurable goals. And before you know it, you're going to be writing 2 sentences and 3 sentences and 4 sentences. Introduce challenges to keep things interesting. Set goals to help build that internal motivation. Work with a friend or a coworker that is going to help you foster accountability. More skills. Be mindful. Build distress tolerance skills. If every time you have something distressing in your life, you kind of collapse, that's not good. You have to learn how to do tough things. Find ways to manage difficult emotions, because actually life kind of sucks sometimes. It's hard. I wish that it was all peaches and roses, but it's not. Look at challenges as opportunities. Crises are good opportunities for change. We were on a boat with my family, and my husband has a habit of never filling the gas tank sufficiently. So we're on the boat, and the wind is blowing, and the boat runs out of gas. And the wind is blowing us away from the gas station. So we could have erupted, right, with a lot of, how dare you, why did you do that again? I've told you 1,000 times to fill up the boat. We could have, right, really got a lot of. Instead, we, with all good humor, thought it as an opportunity to just be a challenge. We're going to row, we're going to move against the wind, we're going to flag down another boat, and now we actually have a great story to tell that I'm telling you. So you can look at challenges and things that go wrong as opportunities. Practice communication skills. Recognize that you have a choice in how you respond. Reframe, change thought patterns and emotional thought patterns. So think about, what do I mean by reframing? Think about, you see a friend across the street and they ignore you. And you feel a really bit irritated because you feel hurt. What are you going to do? But let's say, do you need to be hurt? You see your friend walking across the street, could you also feel concern? I wonder what's going on with my friend. Often we take circumstances and we'll think that the only possible interpretation is my friend doesn't like me anymore and isn't talking to me. But in fact, there may be other ways to think about that. Like maybe my friend is really absorbed in worry and thought, maybe they're not okay, maybe something happened that doesn't involve me. So when sometimes we reframe things and we can reframe our thoughts and our patterns and emotions, we can get out of difficult places. So I want you to think of whatever negative emotion you might be feeling at this present time. Okay, so I want you to just notice it. You're tired, you're stressed, you're irritated, I don't know, sad, something's going on. I want you to just take a big breath. And then when you take this big breath in, I want you to really do the out breath, like you go. And now I want you to actually sit up straight in your chair. I want you to look like you're really paying attention. Convince me that I am the most amazing professor and you're hanging on my every word. Okay. Do you feel any different than you were a moment ago? Now, depending on what you were feeling and how strongly you were feeling, and some of you shake your heads, but some of you feel a little bit different, don't you? Don't you feel a little bit more alert? Or maybe a tad less tight? For a couple of seconds, yes, and then it comes right back. Okay, so just something very simple like that can actually help you emotionally regulate. And in fact, other people may not even necessarily know it if you just shift yourself in your chair or try and take a deep breath or take a glass of water to keep yourself awake. There's all kinds of little strategies that you can use. There is also the third area, social awareness. If you have true emotional understanding of other people, your own emotions and others, you're going to be able to put all that information to work in the relationships that you have. Because it is emotion that creates relationships.
That's right.
And then it's relationships that determine a lot of your success. So being able to interact well with others is an important emotional intelligence skills. And so those skills are things like active listening, verbal and nonverbal communication. Do you know how much we like to talk and we really don't like to listen? Or maybe you're the kind of person who always listens and never talks. There are those people too, but often we like to talk about ourselves. And so if you're really good at asking questions, you're going to find that you can engage with other people and build meaningful relationships and understand yourself and them better. So these skills that we're talking about are important in the workplace as well. So in professional settings, managers benefit from using social skills to build relationships and connections with their employees, inspire them, and encourage them to move, get them to do what they're supposed to do. And workers also benefit from being able to develop strong rapport. So how can you improve your social awareness? All kinds of things. You can ask those open-ended questions. How are you doing? What's happening for you today? How was your day? Notice other people's social skills. In fact, you can notice what you like and what you don't like. Do more of what you like when you notice other people and do less of what you don't like. Practice good eye contact. Just look at somebody. Even if you're passing, how many of you pass on the street and you don't want to talk to somebody, so you look down, right? No, put your eyes up and engage with somebody. Practice your social skills. Practice active listening. In psychology, we talk a lot about active listening. Show interest in others. Use icebreakers to help start conversations. You can even think ahead of time about things that you can talk about if you're walking into a strange situation. Watch your body language and others' body language. If you're talking to somebody, but you're certainly not giving them the information that you want to engage. Whereas if you're like this, you're actually giving them information that you're listening and you're ready and willing to engage. Be willing to share your feelings, practice empathy, engage in something, listen to other people, practice loving kindness. Talk to new people. Try to imagine yourself in someone else's place. That sounds really easy, it's really difficult. Try to walk in somebody else's shoes and imagine what they are feeling. That is going to help you solve a zillion conflicts. Now I'm seeing the clock, it's 5 o'clock. I think I only have a few more slides. I'm guessing you guys would rather get out of here sooner than take a break right now, am I right?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to keep going, and I think we're going to get out a little bit early. Okay, so imagine somebody interrupts you in a meeting. So you're in a meeting, and you're about to say something you think is really important, and they step right in there and interrupt you. How are you going to react? What are the possible reactions to that? Well, then I guess I'm not talking. Somebody says, smile and nod. You talk louder and more aggressively. Right? You want some social awareness about what you do in that scenario, in that situation, right? And how you come across. If you talk louder and more aggressively, maybe that's not going to go so well. If you shut down and go, oh, well, nobody cares what I think, maybe that's not going to go so well. What you do with your emotions in that situation has something to do with how aware you are of what's going on. A friend cancels last minute, and you're hurt. Or maybe you're worried.
Oh, man.
Or maybe you're relieved. Oh, good, I have to study. Do you have the awareness to reach out to your friend and say, hey, what's happening? Are you okay? Are you going to get reactive and angry at them? You want to have an awareness about all the social dynamics in those really common little scenarios that can really mess us up when we get annoyed about things or we get passive about things and so on. So all of these things that we're talking about, self-awareness, self-regulation, and social awareness, determines our relationships, and that was the last area. They're going to determine the nature and quality of your relationships, and sometimes the single most important skill in a close relationship is, are they emotionally responsive? If you get married in the future, if your partner is emotionally responsive to you, and you to them, chances are pretty much 100% you're going to have a pretty good relationship. Do they respond to your emotions? Do you respond to their emotions? I mean, there are other factors, maybe nothing in common with other things. But in general, if you've built a bond and you have some good things in common and you can build a life together, if that person is able to be emotionally responsive to you, supportive of you when you're stressed, sharing joys with you when you're happy, you're going to have positive relationships. So in the world of work, how you manage relationships will determine your sex as a boss, as an employee, whether you get the job, or whether you climb the ladder, and so on. If your boss hates you, they're probably not going to want to promote you, even if you're quite brilliant at what you do. If you can't get along with your colleagues, they're probably not going to want to promote you. So, how you get along with people. So here we are back to our 4 areas: self-awareness, self-management, and self-regulation, social awareness and social skills, and relationship building and relationship management. So you build those relationships and you manage those relationships through the above 3 there. So why is all of this super important? Because on the job, in school, you can easily teach somebody a new skill. You can teach somebody to ride a bicycle, or to skate, or to ski, or to use that piece of machinery, or to use that new computer program, or whatever the case may be. It's easy to educate someone with the essential information on the job, but it's really challenging to teach them EQ. It's really challenging to teach people how to get along with other people, how to manage their emotions. When it comes to your employee evaluation, and your boss says, you really need to regulate your emotions better, that's much harder than, hey, let's send you on a course to learn that new computer program. So the good news is, even though it's challenging to teach somebody EQ, the good news is, you may not be able to do anything about your IQ, but you can do a lot about your EQ. And in fact, that's one of the most important things about being in university. You're learning to regulate your time, you're learning to regulate your thoughts and your feelings, and all the process of learning is part of learning to regulate your EQ through this experience. So here's some questions for you to ponder before we finish up here. Can you do hard things? Kind of important, and that means you're going to have to regulate your emotions. Can you get along with difficult people? People who just drive you crazy. It's going to be kind of important because you're going to come across them, especially in the world of work. Can you remain calm under pressure? That one's a tough one. This September, my husband had 3 eye surgeries, and I was stressed, because I thought that he could lose his eyesight. Could I remain calm under that pressure and do all the things that I needed to do? Can you push through something tough? Can you stick with something even when you feel discouraged? What do you do when you're treated badly? That's a good one. Because you get married to your partner, you think happily ever after, this is going to be wonderful, this person loves me. Except that that person is going to treat you badly. And what you do at that moment is an emotional intelligence skill and will determine whether you end up with a good relationship or a bad relationship. What you do when someone treats you badly. What do you do when you experience success? Do you celebrate it? Do you pass it off and, oh, that was nothing? What do you do when someone else takes the credit? What do you do when your boss or your professor is critical or boring or unfair? What do you do? Those are really important questions. They're all questions that have something to do with emotional intelligence. I'm going to end with this thought. Sometimes we start with the devotional thought at the beginning. I'm going to have the devotional thought at the end. So I'm going to say God and emotional intelligence. What's interesting here in these scriptures, it says, whoever does not know God, for God is love. Now love is way more than an emotion, but it is an emotion. And it says that God is love. It's like God is an emotion. And here's another one, that God is love. And this is love, not that we loved God, but that He loved us. So God has this emotion, and He's very emotionally intelligent. And love, that emotion, determines everything, how He responds to us when we mess up. He died for us.
Amen.
Who He is, how He responds to everything. And He has all kinds of other emotions as well. My soul is sorrowful, even unto death. That's what He felt before the cross. But because He had this strong sense of love, it persevered to the very end. He was able to hold on to love, regulate Himself, and work for our salvation.
Hallelujah.
Thank you, everybody, for this class. Have a great week.